Holy tzaddikim and tzaddikot. Hope everybody's doing great. So we have famous stories in this week's parsha. Story of Yosef and the brothers, and Yosef has the dreams of the 11 stars and the moon and the sun bowing down to him, and the dreams of all of the wheat stalks bowing down to him. And Yosef is hated by his brothers, and they plan to kill him, and then they throw him into the pit, and then they end up selling him down to Egypt. And in Egypt, he becomes the head of the house of Potiphar, and eventually he's thrown in jail, right, with the story of Potiphar's wife. And then he ends up interpreting the dreams of the cupbearer and of the baker in jail. But right in the middle of this whole story, almost like out of nowhere, is a separate story, which seems to be not related at all. And that's the story of Yehuda and Tamar. And very, very quickly, Yehuda is very much embarrassed. He's embarrassed by his behavior. He ends up sleeping with Tamar, and they end up, having a child. But he didn't know who he was sleeping with. He thought it was someone else. And in the end of the story, he realizes that it was him. And what always amazes me about the story is, like, first of all, what's it doing here? Second of all, it's like, what are we supposed to learn from here? And in this story, Yehuda is absolutely, completely embarrassed, like out of left field. He's like accusing his daughter-in-law of being immodest and sleeping around, and in the end, it's he, the one who slept with her. So imagine publicly calling out your family member for being such a horrible, terrible, degrading person, and in the end, it was you. You're the one who was actually degrading, and you're the one who was terrible, and you're the one who had the low standards and the low morals. And what's so amazing about this story is that at the end of the story, Yehuda says, "You're right. It was me. I take full responsibility." And I always wondered, like, what is it about Yehuda that the kingship of Israel, right? Mashiach ben David HaMelech comes from the Sheva Yehuda. Like, what is it about Sheva Yehuda? And what I realize, and Chazal teaches us, is that the redemption is not going to come from perfection. The redemption is going to come from a sense of responsibility, a sense of deep honesty, right? A sense of knowing when you're right and when you're wrong, and being able to step up to the plate and said, that one's on me, but I'm going to do better. What an incredible lesson from Yehuda. Instead of running away from the truth, which is what you see nowadays all the time, people with such a lack of responsibility for, their own actions. No, it wasn't me. It wasn't my fault. I didn't do it. Yehuda's like, no, it was me. And I'll take on the responsibility. It wasn't Tamar. It wasn't anyone else. It was on me. And maybe, just maybe, that's the zchut, that's the merit, to have Mashiach come from Yehuda, Sheva Yehuda, to have the kingship come from Sheva Yehuda, and for them to be the ultimate leaders. Because to be a leader does not mean to be perfect. To be a leader means to be honest, responsible, and stepping up to the plate, knowing that you're not perfect, and accepting that, but always striving to be better. What an incredible lesson that we're supposed to learn. What an incredible lesson. Throughout this story of Yosef, it seems to be there are people not taking responsibility, whether it's the brothers themselves, right, who don't take responsibility for their behavior towards Yosef, or even Yosef at the end of the parsha, who says that asks the cupbearer to not forget about him, meaning he's not giving the credit to God, right? But in the middle, almost as a caveat, Yehuda's like, hey, let me show you all how to behave. Let me show you all what proper leadership looks like. I made a mistake. It's my fault. I'm stepping up to the plate and owning it. Let us all learn from the lesson of Yehuda to really, really become leaders, not to achieve perfection, but to have a real sense of responsibility and honesty with ourselves, and saying what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. And if we can do that, just maybe we'll be able to see Mashiach ben David very, very soon, speedy leader of his. Wishing all the holy tzaddikim and tzaddikot Shabbat Shalom.